Thank you for watching The Weekend at 1. President Uhuru Kenyatta has jetted back into the country after a successful tour of 3 countries where he attended and addressed international forums key to the national development agenda. The President and the First Lady Margaret Kenyatta arrived at the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport shortly after midnight from South Africa, where he attended a summit of the Forum of China-Africa Cooperation. On arrival, President Kenyatta and the First Lady were received by Interior and Coordination of National Government Cabinet Secretary Joseph Nkaiseri and Chief of Defence Forces General Samson Mwadede, among other senior government officials. Now, at the 3 international forums, the issues of terrorism, climate change and development were extensively addressed, with the President Kenyatta championing Kenya's agenda, outlining steps his government has undertaken in tackling current global challenges. Now, State House is defending the president's foreign trips and the number of delegations that accompany him. State House spokesman Manoa Isipisu says the trips are necessary and the delegation crucial to secure deals in Kenya's transformative agenda. We will bring you that story later on in this bulletin. Now, the National Civil Society Congress is asking President Uhuru Kenyatta to be more aggressive in the fight against graft. The group is challenging Uhuru to borrow a leaf from his counterparts in Tanzania and Nigeria. They say President John Magufuli and Muhammadu Buhari have used a no-nonsense approach and will transform their countries, something that they want Uhuru to emulate.
And we are asking whether it's not possible for the president to learn from what President Magufuli of Tanzania is doing. If you look at the kind of actions that Magufuli has taken, small steps, small actions that have endeared him to the Tanzanian public, small actions that have shown every citizen that here is a serious president. The president and the speaker of the National Assembly must now take this opportunity to demonstrate to Kenyans that they can actually fight corruption. We are telling Dr. Mutunga to stop sleeping on the job. He is sleeping on the job. Every day he comes out to give us satire and quote Shakespeare, and that is not the job we gave him to do.
Water problems facing Turkana County could possibly reduce following a series of water boreholes that the county government has drilled over the last year. The county has invested nearly 270 million shillings to drill more than 90 boreholes in the entire county to provide easier access to water for its residents. Timothy Otieno with the details.
Young girls trekking for kilometers in search of water. These are the images that have characterized Kenya's largest county for years. Images that the county government here is determined to see change. And with that, the leadership here has contracted the drilling of several boreholes that will see those long walks in search of water reduce.
At the moment, as we are talking now, the water is flowing to Kalokol town, and I believe since the water is flowing, the Kalokol community now has no complaint.
Some residents here mesmerized by the heavy-duty machines busy at work, but they can sense that soon things are about to change. Most households here depend on such nearly dried up water reservoirs, but remain hopeful that once the drilling stops, water will flow closer to their homesteads.
Hata wakati wa sasa ni mpaka tuchimbe kisima ndio tunapata. Hata wakati wa sasa tuweza iko mvua uweze kupata maji chini nini hapa juu hakuna.
The county has paid 100 million to equip all the boreholes drilled with solar panels that will help pump the water upwards.
Area hii ilikuwa ni area ya tabu kwa maji. Hizi ilikuwa na kiu kwa maka mingi.
The boreholes drilled will produce nearly 180,000 liters of water that will be spread across 30 water pans in the area. This with the hope that residents will be able to quench their thirst with clean, accessible water sooner rather than later. Timothy Otieno, KTN News.
Now, the Chinese government will pump $60 billion to development projects across the African continent. This pledge was announced by Chinese President Xi Jinping at the just concluded China-Africa Summit in South Africa. But as KTN's Murimi Mwangi now reports, China maintains it will not meddle in Africa's internal affairs, even as it brokers trade deals with the continent.
This partnership between China and the African continent, which was officially launched at Beijing in the year 2000, has once more brought a basket of fresh goodies to the continent. This time, a pledge of $60 billion worth of development projects to be rolled out across the continent in the next 3 years. This was announced by Chinese President Jinping during the ongoing China-Africa Summit in Pretoria, South Africa. The Chinese president also said the 3-year partnership will include zero-interest rate loans and scholarships to train thousands of Africans to bridge the human resource gap in the continent.
This includes $5 billion in grants and zero-interest loans, $35 billion of preferential facilities, export credit lines and concessional loans of more favorable terms, an increase of $5 billion to the China-Africa Development Fund, and a special loan for the development of African SMEs, respectively, and the China-Africa Fund for Production Capacity Cooperation with an initial contribution of $10 billion.
But in a move that is likely to anger Western states, China has announced that it will not interfere in the internal affairs of African countries, a statement that drew a strong applause from African leaders who have faced strong Western criticism for their human rights record.
We should remain committed to mutual assistance in security. Poverty is the root cause of chaos, while peace is the guarantee for development. Development holds the key to solving all problems. China supports the settlement of African issues by Africans in the African way.
I feel highly honored to take the floor immediately after President Xi Jinping has made the much anticipated announcement of new measures, which are historic and destined to change and to inject more vibrancy into the already dynamic relationship between China and Africa. I therefore take this opportunity to express our sincere and profound gratitude.
But even as the Asian giant continues to dwarf Western states in direct investments to Africa, China has come under fire from African states for continually using Chinese firms to develop roads and railways in Africa, thereby leaving little for local economies.
Once again, our detractors have sought to portray and reduce our relations to purely commercial ties, driven, in their view, as they say, by China's appetite for and desire to extract raw materials from our continent. That's what they say. On the contrary, reality, fortunately, does not conform to such distorted, imaginative creations.
China is Africa's largest trading partner, and the trade volumes between them amounted to $220 billion in 2014. China's influence is broadly seen by Africans as a healthy counterbalance to the West, though Western governments accuse China of turning a blind eye to conflict and rights abuses as they pursue trade and aid policies in Africa. Muremi Mwangi, KTN News, Nairobi.
Let us now revisit our earlier story where the State House briefing. State House is defending the president's foreign trips and the number of delegations that accompany him. State House spokesman Manoy Sipisu says the trips are necessary and the delegation crucial to secure deals in Kenya's transformative agenda.
The president has to undertake what is necessary travel, and he is doing that. You just have to look at other heads. That's number one. Secondly, We cannot claim the leadership position we have in the region and yet shun our obligations to deal with the regional issues that we need to deal with. The President is called from time to time to deal with these regional issues, and he does that. And he's called from time to time to deal with Kenyan issues, and he does that. Tomorrow, for instance, the President will be in Moyale, where with Prime Minister Haile Mariam Desalegn, they will commission the Moyale-Addis Ababa road. So he has work like that he has to do. On Thursday, the President will attend the regular Northern Corridor meetings in Kigali. These ones discuss our infrastructure growth development. And the presidents of the region have met every 2 months for the last 2 years. And you can see the result. You can see how movement from the port has improved. You can see how our cross-border people-to-people connections have improved. You can see how telephony connections in the region have improved. Mostly we are on one tariff in the region. You can see that Kenyans don't need work permits to work in Rwanda, for instance. You can see that we're working on the one visa rule for tourists for the sector. So, and you can see that power generation has had clear growth in the region. So those regional meetings will continue apace because you can see the value that they are delivering to Kenyans. But look at FDI over the period the President has been in office. And you will see that the foreign direct inflows into Kenya are also significantly higher during this presidency so far than there has ever been since independence. COP21, for instance, like the WTO ministerial conference that is going to take place here in Nairobi, is a negotiating forum. Countries send their top negotiators to secure the best deals they have. These are not usually 1 or 2 day events. Negotiating events, as you will learn from WTO, is at least 2 weeks and more. And our negotiators, just for the record, are still in France, doing the job that they are hired to do. So please watch delegations from around the world coming to WTO meetings. They will give you the type of signal that you need to see about delegations to meetings. Let's just not peddle stuff without actually taking a moment to interrogate it. So
Manoa Isipisu there defending the president's foreign trips. Time now for a short break, but don't go too far. I will be back with more news. Welcome back to the weekend at 1. You're watching KTN News. Uganda's Electoral Commission has said that only those with valid national identity cards will be allowed to participate in next year's general election. Now, the Electoral Commission Chief Engineer Badru Kigundu says the voter register was based on the biodata recently collected during the National Identity Card registration exercise. But as KTN Solomon Srawanja reports, Uganda's opposition has vowed to challenge that move.
Democratic Party President Norbert Mao is threatening to drag the Electoral Commission to court if they do not clear his nomination for the Gulu Municipality MP seat. The Electoral Commission earlier this week declined to nominate Mao on grounds that he's not a registered voter, according to the voters' roll. The DP president also did not have a national identity card, which the Electoral Commission says is a must for anyone to cast a vote. Through his lawyer Nicholas Opio, Mao is challenging the Electoral Commission's decision to base the voters' register on the data from the National Identification Project.
They might have taken administrative decisions or a political decision, but those decisions have no basis in law. The manner and way of compiling a voter register is a constitutional matter. It is detailed in the Constitution. So any such action to disregard that process in our view, is unconstitutional, it's unlawful.
Opio says that the Electoral Commission did not have legal powers to completely phase out voter cards to replace them with national IDs.
The voter card doesn't expire. It can only be removed or cancelled on account of fraud, on account of double registration, or death of the said voter.
Mao has now threatened to take the case to court for interpretation. However, the Electoral Commission insists that only those whose names are on the voters' register will participate in the voting exercise.
It's not the status of an individual that warrants him to be on national voters' register. Every Ugandan of age 18 years and above, by law, by constitution, is eligible to be on that voters' register.
As the legal battles loom between Mao and the Electoral Commission, senior constitutional lawyer Peter Walubiri has spoken out.
The Commission can use data wherever it wants to get it from. It cannot use information compiled by other people to substitute its mandate to maintain the existing register, because Uganda has had a voters register.
Walubiri's arguments are buttressed by Article 61 of the Constitution, which details the roles of the Electoral Commission. Solomon Serwanja, KTN News, Kampala, Uganda.
Now, armed men in the Central African Republic killed 8 civilians at a camp for displaced people and wounded 1 UN peacekeeper just days after the Pope visited the capital. 5 of the rebels from the mainly Muslim coalition called the Selaka that attacked the camp were killed and 2 were wounded. The UN mission in the Central African Republic, MINUSCA, reported that over the past couple of days, several incidents involving anti-Balaka and ex-Selaka groups in Bambari have raised tension in the town. Pope Francis visited a mosque in the capital on Monday to implore Christians and Muslims to end a spiral of hate, vendetta and bloodshed that has killed thousands over the past 3 years and divided the nation. Christians and Muslim groups welcomed the visit, and it raised hopes for an end to violence. But a Muslim man was killed on Tuesday in an enclave of the capital besieged by Christian militia groups. The U.S. Embassy in Nigeria has said it has received information that groups associated with terrorism may be planning attacks against hotels in the country that are frequented by Westerners. In a brief message for the U.S. citizens, the embassy said it had no further information regarding the timing or method of any planned attacks. Last month, 20 people, including 1 American, were killed in an attack on a luxury hotel in Bamako, Mali. Claimed by Islamist group. Nigeria also has been subject to attacks including suicide bombings. A global travel alert issued by the U.S. State Department in November listed Boko Haram, an organization active in Nigeria, among groups that is said to continue to plan terrorist attacks in multiple regions. Boko Haram has killed thousands over the last 6 years in a bid to create a state adhering to strict Sharia law. Thank you for watching The Weekend at 1. My name is Najma Ismail. More news will be coming your way at the top of the hour.